What happens when a heavily pregnant lioness becomes trapped in forgotten barbed wire on a silent savanna? The way she reacts when help finally arrives left even veteran rescuers speechless. The morning air over the savanna was heavy and dry, carrying the bitter scent of dust mixed with faint traces of last night's rain. The first beams of sunlight pushed through a thin veil of clouds, striking the tall grass and making it glimmer like steel. The land was quiet except for the distant calls of birds and the soft rustling of insects beginning their daily search for water. Through this landscape moved a lioness, her pace steady but strained. Her belly, rounded with new life, weighed down each step. She paused often, breathing deeply, sides heaving as the warm air thickened around her. Her ears flicked at every sound, her eyes alert. Even in her vulnerable state, the instinct to survive guided her across the land. On her way, she stopped at a cluster of thorny bushes where a small jackal pup had become trapped in dry branches. The young animal cried softly, struggling against the thorns. The lioness lowered her head, touched the branches with her muzzle, and pushed gently. With a sudden snap, the jackal was free. It ran away without looking back, while the lioness remained still, breathing hard as if the effort had cost her more than it seemed. She then continued, driven by thirst and the pull of survival. Moments later, her path was blocked by something hidden beneath the grass. An old fence line, long forgotten by people, cut through the terrain. Its rusty barbed wire stretched between crooked posts, nearly invisible in the dry weeds. The lioness stepped forward, brushing against it, and in an instant the sharp steel bit into her side. She jerked backward, but the wire coiled tighter, catching her hind leg. Her body tensed. She twisted, lunged, pulled with all her strength. Each movement tore at her flesh. Her roar broke the silence, deep, guttural, filled with pain. The sound rolled across the plains, startling flocks of birds into flight. Dust rose around her as she thrashed, the wire vibrating like a cruel instrument. In the distance, two rangers on patrol froze at the sound. One lifted his head, narrowing his eyes toward the hills. "That's no hunting call," he said quietly. "That's suffering." They changed direction immediately, boots striking the dry ground as they ran toward the cries. When they arrived, the scene stopped them cold. The lioness stood tangled in the wire, her golden coat streaked with blood where the metal had cut deep. Her chest heaved, each breath rasping with exhaustion. She glared at them with wild eyes, lips curled back to bare her teeth. Yet beneath the fury was raw desperation. One ranger reached for his radio. "We have a lioness trapped in barbed wire. She's heavily pregnant. We need a veterinary unit here now." His voice trembled with urgency. The lioness pulled again, body shuddering as the wire dug deeper. She tried to lift a paw to strike, but the trap held firm. Her tail lashed through the dust, every muscle fighting the restraint. Blood darkened the earth where she struggled. The rangers stood at a cautious distance, whispering brief words to one another. "If we get too close, she'll attack. And if we wait too long, she won't make it." They faced the same impossible balance. Protect themselves, yet act fast enough to save her. The savanna wind picked up, rattling the dry leaves and carrying the metallic scent of blood further across the land. The lioness gave another roar, louder, breaking into a rasp at the end. It was not just anger, it was a call of life clinging to its last strength. The tension grew unbearable. Every second mattered. Every breath felt like it could be her last. But what happened next with this trapped lioness turned out to be even more unexpected. You will not want to miss what followed. The midday sun burned high, pouring relentless heat across the open plain. Waves of shimmer lifted from the cracked soil, and every gust of wind carried a mixture of dust and the metallic scent of blood. The soundscape had narrowed to two things: the constant rasp of insects hidden in the grass, and the labored, uneven breaths of the lioness still pinned against the barbed wire. Her strength was fading. Each time her sides heaved, the muscles in her body shook with strain. She tried once more to wrench free, claws carving deep furrows in the dirt, but the twisted wire held tight. The gashes along her leg bled steadily, staining the ground beneath her. Her golden eyes remained fierce, flashing from the rescuers to the fence, as if searching for any escape. The rangers stood ready but cautious, their bodies angled against the wind. The veterinary team stepped from their vehicle, moving quickly and quietly, carrying the tools they needed. No one wasted words. Every action was deliberate, the tranquilizer rifle raised, cutters prepared, medical kits laid open on the ground. Time pressed heavily over all of them, and the lioness's roar reminded them just how dangerous even a weakened animal could be. The shot cracked softly. A dart struck her shoulder, and for a moment her body surged with raw fury. She lunged against the trap, muscles straining to their limit, her roar echoing until it bounced off the distant trees. Dust rose in a thick cloud, stinging the rescuer's eyes. The wire groaned under the force of her struggle, yet it held. Minutes stretched long. The sedative slowly took hold. Her roars shortened into harsh growls, then into ragged gasps. Her legs trembled under her weight, and finally she sagged onto her side, her chest lifting and falling in heavy rhythm. Her paws twitched, claws catching at the dirt, but the fight was leaving her. The rescuers moved in. Cutters bit through the strands one by one, each break snapping with a sharp twang. They pulled the wire away from her flank, lifted the twisted coils off her hind leg, and cleared the last strand from her shoulder. The smell of rust and blood hung thick in the air. The veterinarian knelt by her, hand steady as he examined the wounds. Deep cuts crossed her golden coat, raw and bleeding, but still clean enough to be treated. Gauze pressed firmly against her side. Bandages wound tight around her leg. Antiseptic stung the air as the liquid poured over her skin, mixing with dust into a dark paste. Through it all, the lioness's chest continued to rise, slow but steady. For the first time, she was free of the wire. Her body lay stretched on the ground, marked by fresh white wrappings. The rescuers stepped back, sweat streaking their arms, eyes fixed on her as if even the smallest movement might change the outcome. The plains had fallen into a tense silence. The insects hummed, the wind shifted the tall grass, but all attention stayed on the lioness. Her fight had stopped, yet the air held the weight of something unfinished. Every breath from her chest was a reminder that her struggle was not over. The climax of this story begins now. What unfolds in the next heartbeat will decide everything. Do not look away.